Heyo everyone, welcome to another eShop sales episode, a series where we take a look at some of the week's best deals that are live on the eShop and share them with the crew. If you like what we do here at the channel, please leave a like to let us know down below. And if this is your first time here, welcome and thanks for hanging out. If you enjoy the Switch and a good deal, consider subbing down below to become part of the crew. We have some awesome people here already and we'd love to welcome you as well. Plus, we'll do our best to save you a little money on some great games. And to the crew, welcome back my friends. Thanks as always for hanging out. Much love to you all. And with all that said, let's dive in and find some deals. As always, stay safe out there and please enjoy the video. Alright, we'll start with Akane. This is a single player arcade fighter with a download size around 430 megabytes and a main story that will last roughly 5 to 6 hours or so, mostly due to the difficulty of the game. Now this one's set in a futuristic version of Tokyo and the soundtrack is really impressive, plus it puts you in the mood for the carnage that takes place in the game. The game has a unique mechanic where everything can be killed with one hit, but that also goes for us as well. You also die in one hit. Now in this one you'll face a wave of enemies until you hit a checkpoint and face off against a boss and then do it again. It's perfect for short gameplay sessions, and if you're interested in Akane, make sure to pick it up before the sale ends on the 17th. It's marked down 60% to just $1.99. Valfaris is a single player arcade style shooter from DYA Games with a roughly 5 to 10 hour story, and the download comes in at just under 165 megabytes. In this one, we play as a young female protagonist on her mission to take out a local crime gang causing problems in the city. The action is intense and the stages are a lot of fun, but the boss battles are the highlight for me. Now it does have a few difficulty settings though, so you can make this game either incredibly tough on yourself or super easy if you'd prefer that route. It's a great game and definitely worth checking out at the sale price of just $1.99, marked down 80% until June 9th, matching an all-time low. Castle of Heart is a single-player 2D platformer from 7 levels with a download size around 3 gigabytes and it offers roughly 6 to 7 hours of main story gameplay on average. Now in this one we play as a cursed knight that is constantly being turned into stone very slowly and painfully. As we make our way through the stages, killing enemies and collecting items, we can keep this curse at bay. However, if you stop for too long or you don't kill enough enemies quickly, you'll become completely petrified. Luckily though, you have a wide assortment of different cool weapons and attacks that you can use, plus the stages are designed to keep you rolling forward as well. If you're interested in Castle of Heart, be sure to pick it up before the sale ends on the 13th. It's marked down 87% to just $1.99. Elli is a single-player 3D platform adventure game with a download size around 750 megabytes, and again it offers a roughly 5 to 10 hour main story on average. This game has gorgeous graphics here on the Switch and the story does well enough to keep you engaged and moving forward. The puzzles are never too overly complicated, and in fact the game overall is pretty easy and relaxing, which will be nice for newcomers to the genre or for those that haven't sunk as much time into these types of games as the rest of us yet. It runs really well on the Switch with a few minor performance issues here and there, but nothing that breaks the immersion, and this is a great value at $1.99. If you enjoy a great adventure, make sure to grab this one up before the sale ends again on June 13th, marked down 75%. Encodya. This is a single-player point-and-click adventure game from Assemble Entertainment with a roughly 10 to 12 hour story and a download that comes in around at 4.2 gigs. This is an emotional story about a young girl and her guardian robot Sam, set in a futuristic cyberpunk city. We set out to fulfill her father's mission, and the story takes you to over 100 different locations, and there are dozens of really cool NPCs to interact with along the way as well. If you enjoy a good point-and-click adventure, be sure to check out Encodya before the sale ends on June 22nd. It's marked down 90% to a brand new low of just $2.99. Golden Force is a side-scrolling action platformer from No Gravity Games, and this one is available in local co-op for 2 players. It has a 1 gigabyte download and the main story will last roughly 5 to 10 hours to complete. With this one you have multiple playable characters that all play a bit differently from one another, collectibles and secrets to find, and the boss battles are pretty awesome. In fact, the game throws you right into the action against the boss at the start and it never lets up from there. If you enjoy a fun and challenging platformer that you can play with a friend, make sure to check this one out before the sale ends on June 13th. Right now it's marked down 60% to a brand new low of just $7.99. Golem Gates is a really unique game that blends real-time strategy elements with deck building mechanics and mashes them together for a really fun game. It has a download around 11 gigs and it offers tons of playtime plus online multiplayer as well, making it a great value. The action and combat are fun, plus if you use it in tabletop mode with split Joy-Con, you can also take advantage of the touchscreen controls as well, which helps out tremendously. Again, this is a really unique game, but if you're interested in it, make sure to pick it up and start building your best deck possible before the sale ends on June 9th, marked down 80% again to a brand new low of just $4.99. Green Hell. This is a single-player survival adventure game from Forever Entertainment. The download is around 2.2 gigs and you can expect to get roughly 25 to 30 hours of gameplay from it before you finish up. In this one, we're left alone in the wilderness and have to learn how to craft items, make food, and other things that we'll need to stay alive. Now the game is incredibly difficult, but you'll learn from each death, so you're better prepared for the next go. The graphics hold up pretty well on the Switch, and this is a solid survival game, especially at the new low price of just $2.49. If you're on the fence or you've been waiting for this one, you can pick it up at a 90% discount until the sale ends on June 16th. Up next, we have Heaven Dust 2. This is a single-player puzzle-style adventure game from Indie Nova, and it has a main story that will last roughly 6 hours or so to finish up, with a download around 1.1 gigabytes. Now this one definitely has that classic survival horror feel to it, just with better graphics and controls. It plays a lot like older Resident Evil games with puzzles that require searching for and combining items in order to progress, and the combat system is pretty fun as well. It also has an easy mode for people with less experience, so anyone can jump in and give it a go. If you're interested in Heaven Dust 2, make sure to grab it up before the sale ends on the 16th. It's marked down 33% to just $9.99. Jet Cave Adventure is a single-player, side-scrolling platformer with a bit of a twist. The game has a download size around 3.2 gigabytes and will take roughly 5 hours or so to finish up. Now like I said, it has a bit of a twist, and instead of the normal jumping and double jumping that you would normally use, instead you get to use a jetpack that you can fly around with. There are more than 35 awesome levels, tons of enemy variety, plus the combat and boss battles are really intense. Again, this one looks and runs great on the Switch, and it's another hidden gem at just $1.99. If you're looking for a fun side-scrolling adventure, be sure to check this one out before the sale ends on June 20th. It's marked down 90%, matching an all-time low of just $1.99. Letter Quest Remastered is a single-player puzzle-style RPG from publisher Digerati with the main campaign that will last roughly 8 to 10 hours or so, and the download size is just under 200 megabytes. Again, this game puts a twist on the normal mechanics you might find in an RPG, and rather than normal attacks and magic, you have to spell out words, and each word will do damage based on how complex that word was. It's great for younger gamers or to unwind without stress after a long day, plus there's no timer, so you don't have to feel that impending doom looming over every incorrect spelling or puzzle. It's actually pretty addictive once you get into it, and if you enjoy a good puzzle game, or maybe have a young one around that can learn from it, either way, make sure to check it out before the sale ends on June 9th. Right now it's marked down 83% to a brand new low of just $1.99. Next up we have Monument. This is a single-player FPS adventure game from D Games that will last roughly 5 to 10 hours to wrap up, with a download size around 2 gigabytes. Now this is an old school style FPS featuring the classic hardcore gameplay that we remember. There are huge hordes of monsters to blast your way through, and a vast assortment of crazy firepower to do so. The only real goal of the game is to send all the evil spirits back to the grave. The game really is fun to play on the Switch, the animations are smooth, and the music is amazing as well. It's definitely a dark game though, but if you're looking for a solid FPS, make sure to check this one out before the sale ends on June 6th. It's currently marked down 72%, matching an all-time low of just $1.99. Odallus: The Dark Call is a single-player retro action platformer from Digerati with a small download size around 130 megabytes, and it offers roughly 7 to 8 hours of gameplay on average. The game has an amazing retro look and sound and gives us 8 levels to explore filled with tons of enemies and incredible boss battles. There are a few difficulty settings that you can tweak so more people can enjoy the game, as it can be a bit difficult at times, and there's a hardcore mode as well for those looking for a challenge. If you're interested in Odallus: The Dark Call, be sure to pick it up before the sale ends again on the 9th. It's marked down 80% to a new low of just $2.39. Next up we have Oniken: The Unstoppable Edition. This is a single-player retro-style action platformer, again from Digerati, with a small download size around 125 megabytes, and it offers roughly 5 to 6 hours of main story gameplay. The game has a great retro look and sound to it, and it offers tons of levels and more than 15 epic boss battles that you can take on. It even has a hardcore difficulty setting for retro fans that enjoy a bit of video game punishment, plus it has those classic retro cutscenes like you would see in the NES Ninja Gaiden games, for example. Now this one is definitely challenging, but if you're up for it, make sure to grab it up before the sale ends on June 9th. It's marked down 80% to a new low of just $199. Panzer Dragoon, the remake. This is a single-player arcade-style shooter, again from Forever Entertainment, and it has a pretty hefty download around 9 gigs, but you can expect plenty of game time from the pickup. Now this is a beautiful remake that lets players fly on top of a dragon through 7 different stages, taking out tons of bad guys that can attack from all sides. The graphics are fantastic and really do a great job of bringing the worlds to life, and being a fan of the Sega Saturn, I was happy to see this remake come to the Switch. If you're interested in this one, it's at an unreal new low price of just $249 until June 16th, marked down 90%. Next we have Shadows of Adam. This is a single-player retro-style RPG from Circle Entertainment with a download size around 1.2 gigabytes, and the main story will last roughly 15 to 20 hours to finish up. The story is emotional and comedic at the same time, plus the combat is fast-paced, and the game has some modern-day quality-of-life enhancements as well. The retro look and original soundtrack are really what set the game to the next level though. I felt like they're perfect, and if you enjoy a good retro style JRPG, make sure to check this one out before the sale ends on June 16th. It's marked down 50%, matching a previous low of just $749. Shantae is another single-player action platformer. This time it's a port of a classic and the first game in what will become a pretty successful franchise. With this one, you even have the option to use original graphics or the enhanced Game Boy Advance mode if you'd prefer. Now the game has a download size around 250 megabytes, and the story should last roughly 10 hours or so to finish up. This was many people's introduction to Shantae and the first time we got to use her cool transformation skills and play as the different animals. Now of course there's been some other quality of life improvements made as well, and if you're interested in this one, be sure to grab it up before the sale ends on June 17th. It's marked down 50%, again to a new all-time low of just $499. SuperEpic: The Entertainment War is a comedic 2D action platformer with a download size around 870 megabytes and a main story, again that will last roughly 10 hours or so to finish up. The game takes place in the future, at a time where evil corporations have learned to use video games to brainwash the masses and ultimately control them in the process. We play as a raccoon riding on top of a llama, and while the game may look and sound goofy at first glance, this in my opinion is a true hidden gem on the eShop. The platforming, controls, combat, the story, it was all great and way more fun than it has any right to be based off the description I just gave you. Of course, I highly recommend that you give this one a shot. It's finally under $2 at just $1.99, which is 89% off, and the sale ends on June 23rd. Tanuki Justice is a fast-paced arcade-style action platformer, again from No Gravity Games, with a small download size around 50 megabytes and a main story that will last roughly 4 to 5 hours to finish up. Now the game does have a ton of replayability though, so you'll likely get more playtime from it before you move on. It also has local co-op for 2 players, and it will throw everything at you both in every level. The combat is amazing and the boss battles are incredible, but the game is definitely challenging. If you're up for the challenge though, make sure to check this one out before the sale ends on June 13th. Right now it's marked down 60% to a brand new low of just $5.99. Valfaris is a single-player action platformer with a download size around 1 gigabyte and a main story that will last roughly 10 to 12 hours to finish up. Now the game is pretty tough and feels a lot like playing an old school Castlevania game, but the heavy metal soundtrack is the highlight for sure. The entire time the game is just pounding your eardrums with rock while you battle through the stages and take on the incredibly tough boss battles at the end. The game has a really cool New Game Plus mode, giving even more playtime and value, and right now you can pick it up at an all new low price of just $7.49. It's marked down 70% until June 9th. Wallachia: Reign of Dracula is another single-player retro action platformer, this time from No Gravity Games, with a small download size around 180 megabytes and a main story that will last roughly 5 to 6 hours to finish up. There are 7 intense levels full of enemies and bosses that are incredibly brutal. The game is definitely no joke. Now this is another game that was heavily inspired by the Castlevania series, with a story that's based around Vlad the Impaler. The combat once again is amazing and the retro look is top notch, and if you're interested in this one, make sure to check it out before the sale ends on June 13th. It's marked down 60% to a brand new low of just $5.99. Next we have Warlocks 2 Godslayers, which is an action RPG from Cubic Games with a download size around 1.6 gigabytes and a main story that will last roughly 8 to 10 hours to wrap up. Now it also has local co-op for up to 4 players as well, and this game is surprisingly challenging once you get past the opening stages. You have multiple playable classes or characters, great art and animations, plus the game could last more than 10 hours to finish up like I mentioned, giving it plenty of value for the price. Plus, if you've already bought any of Cubic's games throughout the year randomly, you can even get this cheaper, you just have to keep your eye on the eShop. If you're interested in Warlocks 2, be sure to check it out before the sale ends on June 13th, along with the rest of their catalog. Right now this one's marked down 89% to just $1.99. Xeno Crisis is an arcade-style arena shooter from Bitmap Bureau with a download size around 220 megabytes, and the main story will last roughly 5 to 10 hours to finish up. Now again, there's a ton of replayability with this one, plus you have local co-op for 2 players, and this is an incredible port from the 16-bit era. Like with Wild Guns Reloaded, they've added in some new content, so both newcomers and fans of the original will have something new to experience. For newcomers, they have a few difficulty settings as well, and right now it's on sale until June 9th, marked down 50%, matching a previous low of just $9.99. Up next we have Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. This is a single-player 2D platformer from Team 17 with a download size around 4.8 gigabytes and a main story that will last more than 15 hours to finish up. This in my opinion is one of the best 2D platformers on the Switch, up there with Donkey Kong and Mario, no question. There are tons of collectibles, each stage has 2 different versions, and the way it ties in with the overworld is fantastic. The story is comedic, and the final stage, the Impossible Lair, is one of the most challenging levels I've ever played in any game. Obviously, I highly recommend this one, and if you're interested, it's on sale until June 16th, marked down 75%, matching a previous low of just $7.49. Alright folks, and as always, here are a few other games to check out while you're already on the eShop. Alright everyone, that's going to go ahead and wrap up today's episode, but keep a lookout for more daily deals and eShop list videos. Thanks again for hanging out, you know you're legendary. If you made it this far, hit that like button, share it around with somebody who might like a deal, and please, stay safe out there. Alright little man, take us home.
That's all for today's list. We hope you liked the video. If you did, consider subscribing and liking down below. Okay, bye!